Hey everybody, I got something really special for you today. It's something I haven't done before. I when I ran across these, I mean, I had to. I mean, as we go through the video, you'll see. I mean, it just blew me away. This what you're looking at is a PSP 2000, a custom PSP 2000. You've seen my videos of 1000 and 3000 reviews, and this is the first of my PSP 2000 reviews. This one what I found was the 2000s have a lot of custom PSPs right from the factory. So I mean, it's just wonderful. I don't know why the 2000 series had such a diversity in customization, but it did. I looked at the 2000s and the 3000. I did a test, all three of them all up together, blah blah blah, comparing all the functions and whatever. And 2000s were pretty much the same as the 3000s. The only difference is that the 2000s didn't have a little microphone for Skype that 3000s had. And of course, it doesn't have the IR, which the 1000s have, and 3000s don't have them either. So the 2000s are pretty much equivalent to a 3000. Um, just the customization on it was like amazing. So I said, okay, fine, I'm gonna have to do a couple of 2000s. So this one is the custom 2000 Spider-Man edition, and I've not seen this in. I've seen it in 1000s, but really more like what I do, changing colors. But this one is the Spider-Man edition. Like, if you see my 3000 review for Gundam, Final Fantasy, whatever, they're dedicated quote edition of whatever game. So this one is the Spider-Man edition, PSP 2000. What really caught my attention on this one was the color, the colors that they used on the front. This red is it's not a vibrant red. It's maybe called deep red in PSP world, but in the painting world, it's called hot rod red. It's that Americana red for hot rods, right? So I was immediately attracted to the color, and then when I started to look at it, then I saw the Spider-Man logo and all this other stuff, and I just had to have it. But anyway, so hot rod red, black buttons, very bright white indicators on the buttons. These are not gem buttons. These are more like anime buttons. Anime color, that's the feel that it gives me when I look at this. I feel cartoon, you know. I mean, just I guess that a comic book, I guess, is another way to look at it. But black buttons with very bright white markings on them, and black markings across the bottom, black action buttons, and directional buttons, black analog stick, and this little guy right there. That is the Spider-Man Edition PSP logo. So that is not a decal, that is not a sticker, that is actually impregnated into the paint or painted on to this case from the factory this way. So it's like it's gloss, so I might be getting my fingerprints all over it right now, but just to let you know that if when I do this to the Big Boss, Metal Gear Solid or Gundam or Final Fantasy, you hear sort of like a scratchy noise because it's a flat body, which I still prefer. I mean, the feel of it, I don't know. I like them all. But anyway, so that's it. Let me bring it up real close so if I can get that into focus. There you go. Okay. So, and what really blew me away was when I flipped this over and then bam, that hit me like, oh my God, that's from the factory this way. This is what Sony used to sell in Japan. You know, why couldn't they sell these in the United States? I found that a lot of Japanese PSPs are customized like amazingly well. I mean, well, right from the factory. So this is a customization right from the factory. This is not a sticker. It's not a decal. It's actually the case that's made this way. And if I bring it up really close, you'll see that there's a red PSP logo over the Spider-Man symbol. Again, this is not a decal. It's not a sticker. It's not painted on by some custom artist or anything like that. This is right from the factory this way, which is just completely amazing. Of course, it's a web with a spider in the middle of it. And yeah, just amazing. So Oh, and then it's got the silver rim. Silver rim, white buttons, which adds to that cartoony feel, that comic feel. So let's turn it on, take a look at it. Yeah, this one, again, all my PSPs come standard with 8 gig Pro Duo, Wi-Fi, UMD. Oh, this one has a movie in it, so it just started showing you the movie. It's Resident Evil Apocalypse. So let's take that out of here, because we don't want that distracting us. Okay, so back to the PSP logo. It's really bright in here, so what you're seeing is sort of a glare off the screen. It's a catch-22. I got to get light onto the PSP so you can see the colors. At the same time, light onto the PSP hits the screen and sort of kind of dulls it out, but it's no way in shape, it has anything to do. It's the light. It's the ambient light in this room. So, okay, so it has the Spider-Man logo as the background. I got the Spider-Man theme on here. Let's go to System Setting. Let's go to System Information, and there it is. And I didn't block out the MAC address yet, so there. So it's Sony latest firmware 660. So, let's get out. And as you know, if you watched my videos, I load these things up with tons of themes. And Ace Combat, Aliens, Modern Warfare, whatever. So yeah, there's tons of themes on here, and I also load them up with a ton of pictures. So if you don't like this background or the background from the theme, you can just choose any of these other backgrounds, or you can load your own pictures and cycle through it like I'm cycling through this right now. Yeah, it's God of War. Hey, that looks pretty good. Yeah, that's the blood red on his face. Gundam. Yeah, I think I got a bunch of Spider-Man ones. Let me go down here. Show you some Spider-Man. Oh, it'll be in the S's, so it'll be down further. Need for Speed. Star Trek. So, here we go. Here's some other Spider-Man themes or background pictures. Again, sorry about the ambient light here. Yeah, that one's supposed to be that way. These are actual JPEGs and whatever I took down the current background. I got from the internet, and I sized them down for the PSP. You can do this with any picture that you load onto and cycle through it just like I'm cycling through it. I just wanted to show you the Spider-Man one, so you can make any one of these your background. That's a pretty nifty one, so let me see. I'm going to make that one my background instead. Okay. Alright, now it's my background. You can see the lettering a little bit better. Okay, so let's go to the game stick. We already did the UMD accidentally. Yeah, I had this is what a UMD looks like. A Resident Evil Apocalypse UMD. That's what was playing on here before. Or there's not. I didn't find a really big selection of movies for the PSP, but there are, the major hits. But what I normally do is I just back up a DVD to the PSP onto my memory stick. It takes about a gig, I think, a gig or a gig and a half, and I play it right off the memory stick. So in my PSP, I have a library of games, my DVDs that I backed up to my PC that I transferred to the PSP. And you can watch the movies, and there's, was it Video 9? That's what I use, and you can back up your DVDs to, not Blu-rays, I haven't figured out how to do Blu-rays, but you can back up your DVDs to your PSP, and you can have like 8 movies. So if you're on a plane trip or whatever, I think battery range for a PSP, depending on what you do, is anywhere between 4 to like 8 hours. So that's, you can watch whatever movie you want to watch. I just went to sleep for a minute. So yeah, for on an 8 gig, I think you can put like 6 movies on there. 8 gig Pro Duo. I have 32 gigs on my Pro Duo. Oh, by the way, I tried to do 64, and I know that there's people in the forums that they did 64. I have not been able to get 64 active on a PSP. I've tried all sorts of things, right? Firmware, whatever, right? And only one I haven't tried was the CR3100, but I've read in the forums that you can't get 64. There's an architectural limit for 32 gig or 44. I haven't been able to get that either, but max I got on a PSP so far is 32 gigs. Okay, so where was I? Sorry, I digress. Oh, yes, the game stick. So on my game stick, basically this is the, you see the PS1, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, all these emulators, but we're not in Pro mode. Pro mode is, Pro B10, is what I'm using, is a little application that rides on top of the Sony firmware that is what some people call custom firmware, but actually it's more like a custom app. So I've already installed it, so I'm just going to recover it. If you take out your battery, or if your PSP dies because it runs out of battery or whatever, it defaults back to Sony firmware 660. And in that mode, you can't see all the custom stuff. So what I'm doing is I'm going back to Pro B10 custom firmware or custom app. So once you start that up, you see all the custom stuff, which is Tetris. In all my other videos, I load Tetris and load Angry Birds because I like them. In this case, we have Ultimate Alliance 2, Spider-Man, I forgot what this one was, Web of Shadows, Spider-Man Web of Shadows, Spider-Man 3, and these are PSP games. These are all PSP, PS3, this one is PS3, PSP, and these are PSP games, and this is a PS1 game. These two are PS1, Spider-Man 1, 2, 3. So it's PS1, then PSP, and then a Sony emulator for Sony, Sega emulator for Sega Genesis games, Game Boy Advance emulator for Game Boy Advance games, Super Nintendo emulator for Super Nintendo games, and then of course our Pro B10 recovery and update. You really don't need the update, but I leave it there in case you want to remove it or uninstall it or take it back to Sony Pure or Sony Standard or whatever. If you hit this button, it's going to reboot and bring up the update menu. And in the update menu, you can reinstall the custom firmware, remove it. Like here we go. It says press X to launch it. Press triangle to uninstall it. L to reinstall it, and R to exit. So in our case, we're just going to exit because it's already installed. All right, so we're back. So let's go back over to. I didn't show you this part yet, right? So after running it, you'll notice that it says Sony 660 Pro B10. Spider-Man is the name of the PSP. And it hides the MAC address, which is nice. Because when I do this, I don't want everybody to have the MAC address of the PSP I'm looking at. But anyway, so yeah, so that's it. Yeah, it's just absolutely a pretty, I mean, just awesome PSP. It's, again, just a real quick look around. It's got the red front, black buttons, the white left triggers, and that amazing back cover. Just glossy, amazing back cover. So, that's it. So everybody, this is the Sony PSP 2001, not 2006, Spider-Man edition, a PSP 2000, and it is a beauty.